In the 2024 Toyota. What is up, internet world, and welcome back to Accelerate. I'm Mike, he's Ian, and today we're bringing the 2024 Toyota Corolla Cross. So you're considering buying a Toyota RAV4, and you go in the dealership, you jump inside, you take it for a test drive, and then you pull it into your garage and realize it's just a little bit too big with these really tiny garages and these SUVs that are getting bigger and bigger. So you go back to the dealership and the sales guy says, what about this? This is a Toyota Corolla Cross, and you think, Corolla, reliability. Every time I think about the word Corolla, I think reliability, but now they have it in this format. This is a cross between a Corolla sedan and an SUV. How genius is that?
That's crazy!
It offers more ground clearance, available all-wheel drive, and more cargo space. This hybrid Toyota Corolla Cross is built in Toyota's new factory in Alabama alongside its gas counterpart. Per year, they're expecting to build 150,000 of these guys, and it has replaced the CHR that really nobody cared about. So this class of smaller SUV style crossover vehicles are getting very, very popular. So luckily for you, we've reviewed most of them, starting off with the Honda HR-V. We've also touched and given you the Hyundai Kona, along with the Volkswagen Taos, the Subaru Crosstrek, the Kia Seltos, even the Ford Bronco Sport, which I don't really agree with. The only one we have not done is the Mazda CX-30, but soon we will get the Mazda CX-70, so make sure you guys subscribe for that one. So if you're looking at getting your hands on one of these Toyota Corolla Crosses, in the US, you have 4 different trim levels when it comes to the hybrid and 3 different trim levels when it comes to gas. Now in Canada, you have 5 different gas versions and 2 different hybrid versions. No idea why they jumble it all around, but that's the way it is. In the US, it has a starting price with the L on the gas version of $23,610. Then you have the LE at $25,940, and then the top trim XLE in the gas version at $27,835. Moving to the hybrid, the starting price is $27,970 with the S, then the SE at $29,290. Then you get the Nightshade, which is new for 2024, at $30,215. And then the top of the line, big dog, the XSE with a price of $31,156. In the 2024 Toyota Corolla Cross, this is the hybrid, so I have some electrification here, but if you don't get it, you get 169 horsepower and 151 pound-feet of torque, but this is the top dog. This is the hybrid, and it makes 196 horsepower. That is a lot of power, guys. Let's see what this thing does to 60. I've got it in sport, I have it in drive. Foot is on the brake, foot is on the gas. What does this thing do to 60? Let's go all-wheel drive. Woohoo, slippage. Look at that, all-wheel drive. Toyota allows it to slip. Come on, CVT, what do we got, 7.16 to 60. Not bad at all. It's actually pretty zippy, I'm not gonna lie. Driving around town, it's pretty zippy. Very light on its feet, I would like to call it. Even when I was doing this little thing over here with filming it, it's pretty good on the brakes.
All right, so there you have it. The Corolla Cross comes in 48th place, just ahead of the Toyota RAV4 Woodland Hybrid, and just behind the Volvo V60 Cross Country.
So if you're curious to know what it does in terms of gas mileage, well, here's Ian.
All right, here we are editing the video the night before it's due, as per usual. Well, not due, but we try to give you guys videos Wednesdays and Saturdays. Anyways, fuel efficiency. On Toyota Canada's website, they claim you can get 5.2 liters per 100 kilometers in the city and 6.2 on the highway. Now in our test, and I say test because we didn't actually test it, but we were getting 6.8 liters per 100 kilometers while we had it during the week. Now, that is mainly because we drive like this. So the fuel economy that the Corolla Cross gets is actually really good and better than most cars in this segment. However, the Kia Niro Hybrid actually gets a little bit better. Now, we drove the Kia Niro Hybrid out in San Diego last year, and the only things I would say is that I prefer that the Niro has a dual clutch transmission. It's not a CVT. It has a little bit more space inside, and the interior is a lot more like up to date with 2024. But when you're cross shopping between a Kia and a Toyota, the big thing is going to be reliability and resale value. So those are things to consider when you're comparing the two.
What Ian forgot to mention is that the size of the fuel tank in the hybrid is smaller than the gas. It is 40 liters worth of fuel you can put into this hybrid, which is very, very, very small. So at the pumps, you're gonna feel like it's very inexpensive, but it won't get you the distance that obviously, larger SUVs have as like 75 or 80 liter tanks. To the front of this Toyota Corolla Cross in Acidic Blast. Look at this front end. It's got a Toyota badge that's all blacked out. What? And a design language kind of from Lexus. This vibe right here. And take a look at these headlights. They remind me of a woolly mammoth's tusks. They're like inward and outward at the same time with these DRLs flowing right through it. You've got a projector here, you've got optional fog lights, and a front grille that is half-seas. Half hybrid, half gas, because half of it is completely closed and half of it is completely open. Dimensionally speaking, this Toyota Corolla Cross is 5 inches shorter than the RAV4. So let's talk about the design and the things they've put on this vehicle. You have these rugged fender flares in the front as well as the back that continue into mud flaps. You get 18-inch wheels, which are kind of nice and fancy. Now, it's not completely bland. Look at this design feature they have on the front, and then they've matched it in the back. They've also added this Corolla Cross, letting everybody know this is something unique, because nobody knows what this really is when they see it. This is the deal. This is the storage space. This is the blind spot that's not a blind spot. Hello. Toyota's doing this two-tone thing nowadays in most of their vehicles that offer a black roof, which they call jet black, which matches this mirror cap. And then you get this cool little LED in it. Now, when the key's in your pocket and you walk up to the vehicle, you simply put your hand in the front handles only. It'll unlock. And when you walk away, just before you do that, you press these two little lines, it'll lock the car, and then you can be on your merry way. So as we walk around the back of this Corolla Cross, I know what you're thinking. What is this? It's kind of odd looking, but at the same time, it gives me a little bit of Subaru-ness. This is what you're paying for, this trunk, and the fact you get space. Now, of course, you get the blacked out Toyota badge, just like the front. You get the rear wiper, which is pretty typical on a station wagon. But this is odd. This Corolla Cross is one word. It has a slightly different font. Kind of weird, but that's okay. But what's up with this gap between XSE and Hybrid? This should be closer together, and it's driving Ian insane.
It's a little weird, is it not?
This doesn't have 360 camera, however, it does have a rear camera. And I do like how they have this extra piece on this bumper that clearly says Corolla Cross. It's very rugged, and I like that. They do have this piano black on the bottom to give it that little city flair. Now, if you're wondering if this does have power tailgate, the answer is absolutely yes. Look at this thing. It comes up completely automatic. And can I get it higher than me? Just about. So if you're 6 foot, you're definitely hitting this thing. I'm 5'9", and look at where I'm standing. It's got 5'10" maximum height. As far as usability and space goes, I will pull this tonneau cover back, and this is what you get. Now, once your tailgate is open, the Corolla Cross has 2 buttons on it, one to close the tailgate and the other to close the tailgate and lock the vehicle. Now, as far as storage goes, you have 44 inches worth of width and 34 inches worth of depth. There is no spare tire, just a tire repair kit. You do have a JBL subwoofer there, and if you're wondering what's inside this little pouch, that is your cargo net. There is the tonneau cover, as you saw when I opened up the tailgate. I'm not a big fan of the quality of it, but I understand at this price point. You do have 60-40 split seats, and there is no power outlet inside this trunk, which is what most SUVs have, just to keep in mind. On the inside of the Toyota Corolla Cross, now the first thing that my eyes focus on are these seats. Check these out. Look at this design, but the bolstering, the thickness of these seats are excellent. I have heard that people don't like that it's not designed for tall people. Now, I'm an Indian guy, and Indian people love the Toyota Corolla. This is like the staple car for our community. But I will say that Indians are not tall people. So for us, it's all good. It's just perfect. It fits me perfectly right here, right at the edge of where my legs join together. It is perfect. Now, as far as overall comfort, I would say they're probably a good 7.5 or 8 out of 10 as far as these seats go. It does have lumbar support on my side, so that's a thumbs up. My overall first impressions on the interior of this Corolla Cross is it's similar to what the HR-V offers in terms of futuristic design. There's not really much there comparatively to the Hyundai Kona and the Kia Seltos. That's just way more futuristic inside. This does have a 4.2-inch screen on the driver's display and an 8-inch for everybody else in the vehicle. It does have connected services, so now you can lock and unlock your doors. So there are like some pieces there in terms of future technology, but in terms of visuals though, it's just a bit more bare bones. It does have heated steering wheel, it does have heated windshield, it does have heated seats high and low on each side, but those aren't exactly futuristic things. It does have a 9-speaker JBL sound system, it does have a sunroof and a blacked out interior headliner. It does have a sporty steering wheel, it is 3-spoke. On the left-hand side is where all your infotainment controls are, and on the right-hand side is where all your cruise control buttons are. You do have hard buttons for your HVAC controls, and you do have a wireless charger right underneath your controls for your heated seats and heated steering wheel. You do have an EV mode button that's an addition to this one because it's a hybrid, but it's the only addition to when you're buying this over the gas version. It does have different drive modes and of course park, reverse, neutral, drive, and then when you shift it over you do have your sport mode, which is where your paddle shifters come into play. Then you have your brake hold, your electromechanical parking brake, 2 decent sized cup holders, a lot of piano black trim, and then this thing here that holds not a whole lot with a USB-C in there. I wish this slid forward just because when I'm like this, it's just a little bit too far back for me. And I think most people are not 6 foot and up. They're usually like 5'7" to 5'8" on average when you combine male and female. So they're gonna probably sit like this. It's power seat, my bad. They're gonna sit like this, and they're gonna want their elbows to be sort of like covered. So this should slide forward and it doesn't. So Toyota, you gotta add that, man. You gotta add it, man or woman. So let's see how much room we have in the back here of this Corolla Cross. Again, I'm not the tallest guy in the world, 5'9". That's how much room I have. There is vents back here, which is a plus, a really big plus, because some vehicles, believe it or not, don't have this, like the Jetta. I do have a cup holder in the door panel. Of course, they are power windows. I do have a decent amount of headroom, not a massive amount, but a decent amount. The design of this is to have a low roof, just to give it that look. I do have the same sort of design as I have in the front with these vertical or horizontal little patterns there. As far as the armrest go, I do have one. I do have 2 cup holders here, so there's 4 cup holders in the back, and there's 2 USB-Cs hiding underneath here. They're pretty low, so you kind of have to know exactly where you're putting it in. If there's 3 people in the car and you're trying to reach down there, that might be pretty problematic, so you probably have to just put it in and then like wrap it around the side here, because look, I'm sitting up here, I can't see them. I have to kind of duck my head down to find it. And USB-Cs are really small. They're not like big old USBs. They're tiny, so you have to fit them in perfectly to get them into the hole. Yeah. So as you saw in the launch, I got the front wheels to spin, even though this is all-wheel drive, which tells me that Toyota is giving the stability program a longer leash. Take, for example, when you buy all-wheel drive, you get a different suspension than when you buy front-wheel drive. You get a sport-tuned double wishbone multi-linked rear suspension with a stabilizer bar when you buy all-wheel drive. And of course, when you get the hybrid, you get more power. But how about the drive when I'm physically driving it? It's got a fairly comfortable ride. It's very light on its feet. It's very light to drive, very easy steering. One thing to keep in mind when you're buying a hatchback as opposed to a sedan, the hatchback will always be louder just in the way sound travels. You don't have sound deadening in the trunk. In every vehicle I've driven, the hatchback or station wagon is always louder than the sedan. And in my experience, I worked for Audi for 17 years, I can tell you that the all-road is always louder than the A4 sedan. And that's the same thing in here. I expect the Corolla sedan to be quieter. So if you drive a Corolla sedan and then you drive this, you're definitely gonna find this louder. I'm pretty surprised about the Corolla Cross. I wasn't expecting it to be this, I would say exciting, but I was expecting it to be way more bland to drive. It's actually not bad. It's light, it's easy. I feel like I get in and out of it pretty easily, and most people will for sure. It's got all the tech I would need. Would I say it's perfect or up to date? It's close enough, but when you compare it against competitors, the interior is probably not the most advanced or the most up to date. And that might be fine for people that just want simple, but for me, I really like a little bit more like visual tech, I would say. But that's it for me. Hope you guys like this review on the Corolla Cross, and for Ian's Cameo, big up. We'll catch you on the next one.